What it do, cooks? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And this video was a semi-request. I mean, a lot of people requested it, but I did see one of the comments in one of my videos just mentioning it, and that's what prompted me to do it, because I forgot about it, to be honest. And it's also like relatively recent news, but you know, it's been a busy couple of days. Sue me, you know what I'm saying? This video is gonna be about Kevin Nash's comments to Logan Paul. Now, it's no secret to anyone that's watching this video that has watched my videos in the past. If you've watched enough of them, you know that I'm a big Kevin Nash guy. I think Kevin Nash is and was a bona fide star. Not a household name, but he was a star, right? He was a wrestling star. You know, the same way that, I don't know, Delonte West was a basketball star, but he was not a household name like Shaq or LeBron or Kobe. That's basically it. You know what I mean? Like Tim Duncan, massive star, great basketball player, not a household name. Robin Van Persie, great soccer player, massive soccer star, not a household name, motherfuckers. Messi, Ronaldo, fucking the other Ronaldo, household names. Zidane, not a household name, right? Doesn't even matter if you're good or not. Household name is a different thing. Now, I also like Logan Paul. I like what Logan Paul represents. And you know what? I like what both the Paul brothers represent. They represent a lack of complacency. And they get a lot of hate. And a lot of people say, oh, haters glazing the Paul brothers. Let's call it like it is. You know what I mean? We all know the truth. The truth is that people are small, right? The average people in the world are very small and insecure people. And the reality is this. People make certain assumptions about other people that they don't want to be shaken up, right? So for example, let's just say you have someone who's poor and comes from a family of poverty, lack of opportunities. They haven't had life handed to them on a silver platter, right? Most of us, I would say, right? Even if you're not poor, most of us aren't rich, right? Now, we like to think, people that look down on rich people, we like to think, well, this person never earned anything, right? And at the end of the day, even though they're gonna go to Yale, or they're gonna go to Harvard, and they're gonna do better than me, and they're probably gonna make more money than me, at the end of the day, I can kick their ass because they're a pussy-ass, spoiled rich boy, right? Here's where his shit hits the fan, right? What happens when you learn that not only everything that I just said was true, but that guy can also kick your ass? What happens when the one thing that you thought you had over this person is also gone, right? I think that's where the hate for a lot of the Paul brothers comes from, right? These guys have succeeded in everything they've tried to do. Oh, Logan Paul was caught like, you know, with some scam. A lot of people get caught with that. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but nobody who's genuine is going to suggest that Logan Paul and Jake Paul are anything but successes, right? And people come for the successful. People don't like people that do well, motherfuckers. Look at Tom Brady, right? My personal favorite NFL player of all time. A lot of people shitting on Tom Brady. He's very obviously the best quarterback there ever is, there ever was, and there ever will be. But people are like, oh, he only won because the ball was deflated. He only won because he had a coach. He only won because of Gronkowski. I've even heard people say he only won because of Julian Edelman. Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I'm saying? Like, have you lost your mind? He's obviously the star, right? And the same thing happens with the Paul brothers, right? I think a lot of people had this mentality, right? They're like, oh, these guys, they're at least upper middle class. And you know, they're getting popular while I'm sitting at home playing Fortnite or going to jiu-jitsu training, right? And I think a lot of people had this idea where it's like, well, at least I'm better than them at this, or I'm better than them at that. And then people realized, oh shit, like if Jake Paul wanted to, he could beat up my entire crew in 2 seconds, right? People realized, oh fuck, I can't hang my hat on anything, right? Shit, this guy is better looking, he's smarter, he's richer, he's younger, he's more talented, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, and people can't handle it. They can't handle feeling inferior, which is in itself a weird form of inferiority, because you have to accept that some people are better than you, just like you're better than some people, right? And some people are gonna be better than you at a lot of things that quote unquote matter, right? It's just how it is, motherfuckers. It's another reason why people hate Donald Trump. They don't like the fact that Donald Trump is rich, says whatever the fuck he wants, is masculine, survived an assassination, has been pretty much banging models his whole life. These are things that most people will not do any of those things. Most people have never banged one model. Most people, I think like the average number of partners is like 3 for guys, right? Most people just settle with their fat ass wife and that's their life. See what I'm saying? Most people don't become billionaires. Most people don't become president. Most people aren't badasses, right? So they like to think like, oh, at least I'm this, right? At least I'm that. That's what all this is. And quite frankly, when I saw Kevin Nash's comments, which I think are stupid, I felt the same thing. It's like Kevin Nash can't handle the fact that Logan Paul achieved more than he did. Let's be real. Logan Paul is a bigger star than Kevin Nash, and I love Kevin Nash. But Kevin Nash was never the guy, right? Neither is Logan Paul. But Logan Paul also just started in his early 20s or mid 20s, right? The reality is that Logan Paul has achieved more than Kevin Nash has, or let's say he's achieved less. He's achieved a lot. He's achieved at least close to what Kevin Nash has achieved, but with so much less effort, right? He didn't have to pay his dues. I've been saying this for years. If you're good at shit, you don't have to pay your dues, right? You have to go wrestle for $15 and a 5-year-old Bullet Club t-shirt if you suck. If you suck, your path to WWE is you have to go grind it out in the indies for 20 years. Now, that's not everybody, because AJ Styles doesn't suck, right? And that was his path. It happens, right? It happens to good people. But think about that. There are also people that are just built different, right? John Cena is one. Randy Orton is another. Lashley is another. Hell, even Obafemi is one, right? Obafemi, despite the fact that you may be fooled into thinking he's 48, Obafemi is like 26, right? Which means that someone was like, this guy is cut up for WWE. We're not gonna make him go wrestle in like New Japan or in a New Jersey, pro wrestling or an insane clown posse. We're not gonna make him do that because this guy is better than the people that go and do that. That's right, Cucks. I said Obafemi's better. I mean, I've always been consistent. I've always said he was better than Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at least. You know what I'm getting at, right? But the point is, people don't like success. They like to hate people that they feel inferior to because that makes them even the playing field, right? They can't stand it. And I don't blame them, you know what I mean? Some people really are just big time losers. And nobody calls them out on it, right? People just kind of storm together and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Tom Brady does suck, despite the fact that he's dating a Brazilian supermodel, is an incredibly good looking guy, is the most successful man in his field, right? Is basically a household name almost globally, which is almost impossible for an NFL player to be, right? Is by far respected by all his peers. Like, this guy has won in everything he does. And then people are like, yeah, but you know what? I'd beat him at darts, right? And it's like nobody gives a shit. He's obviously overachieved, right? He's obviously overachieved. It's a very strange phenomenon. A lot of people gravitate towards hating successful people. I don't get it, right? And sometimes you hear this, people are like, you're just jealous. But a lot of times people say this about like not successful people, right? So like, I saw in one of the comments, they're like, people are just jealous because Montez Ford got Bianca. No, I'm not. Believe me, I wouldn't even want Bianca. You know what I'm saying? Not my type, Cucks. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even want her. Good for him. I recognize she's a good looking girl, not my type personally. She's a little too like fake looking for me, but hey, to each his own, you know what I'm saying? Good for him. I've never said Montez is like an ugly guy or anything like that, right? But people act like, oh, you're jealous because he got Bianca. And it's like, dude, why would I be jealous of a WWE jobber, right? Like, I believe I can do what he does, I haven't had the opportunity. I haven't pursued it as a career, but I believe I could. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibility for me, right? But I'm humble enough to know that it is outside the realm of possibility for me to ever look like Scott Steiner, for me to ever look like Big E, or not that I'd want to, but let's say Lashley, someone who actually looks good. Big E's a little bit, bubbly, if you will, right? I know there's certain things that are outside the possibility. I'll never be as tall as Omos, I mean? So there's actual people to be jealous of, right? But I'm not, right? And a lot of people, I think, are like me. They're not jealous of anybody. But the few little gremlins, right? The losers that, like, they don't do anything with their lives, right? They've never started something. They've never tried to do something, right? And same thing with Kevin Nash. It must suck. I was thinking to myself, sometimes I'll go watch, like, the YouTube channels of, like, old wrestlers, and they have the same draw capacity, basically, as me. Like, my video might get, like, 2,500 views. Kevin Nash will get 4,000 views. But Kevin Nash was on TV for like 25 years. You would expect if it's Kevin Nash that he should be drawing a lot of money, but he can't. And I could see why that's disheartening, right? It's disheartening to see someone like Eric Bischoff, right? With like essentially a measly WWE channel. Like you're trying to sell hats that say Eazy-E and the NWO logo. It's easy to see why these people might be pissed, right? I would be too, right? It just means that like nobody appreciates you at all, everything you've done. It sucks. And, you know, it's not just people that I don't like, because I do like some of these people, but even Vince Russo, right? Like, you know, like Maven being a huge YouTuber now, that was like, oh my God, how did this happen, right? Who knew? But you see what I'm saying? A lot of people get bitter, and it's understandable. It's easy to get bitter. Just like, you know, everyone was bitter against Tom Brady, right? Like that fallout where Skip Bayless told Shannon Sharp, who's a bona fide legend himself, he told him, he's like, Shannon, you're just a little upset at Tom Brady because you didn't reach his level of success, right? And that's fucked up because they're supposed to be friends, but it's also true, right? A lot of people are jealous because they're not on the same league, right? Like Shannon Sharp is jealous because even though Shannon Sharp is wealthy and is a bona fide NFL legend, he's not a household name, right? If he walks down the street, people are like, oh, that's a big dude, right? Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody stops him for an autograph, right? These things only happen to household names. Nobody recognizes who the hell Shannon Sharp is, right? And most celebrities are like that. But, and that's why I think a lot of people are bitter. Now imagine that bitterness, but expanded by a factor of 1,000 or something, right? And expanded to regular people who, you know, they're even more bitter because they're regular people, right? They're not even Shannon Sharp. They're not even like fucking, you know, anybody else that might make these criticisms. So that's how, to me, the Kevin Nash comments came off, right? He's like, and he basically, the conclusion in many ways was that his argument was basically like, oh, Logan Paul isn't one of the boys. And I get it, you know, like to him, to Kevin Nash, this is like a massive, massive disrespect, right? He's not one of the boys. Like, that's something that might, you know, that might hurt someone's feelings if that someone is Kevin Nash. But like Logan Paul, he knows he's not one of the boys, right? Like, and of course they're gonna resent him. They're not gonna resent him because they're better than him or anything like that. They're gonna resent him because he makes more money than they do combined, right? He's on another level compared to them, right? He gets brought in to draw money because they cannot do it. So of course they're gonna be like, oh, you're not one of us. And I mean, maybe he's polite. I hear he's a nice guy in real life, but like, he knows that too, right? Even if he tries to be polite, it doesn't change the fact that for better or for worse, he knows why he's there, right? He knows that he's not there to wrestle, right? At the end of the day, I'll just put it to you this way. The entire Kevin Nash character is I'm here to make money, right? And that, from all accounts that we've heard, is also the real man, Kevin Nash, right? But he never was that guy, right? He never was the massive draw that he should have been, in my opinion. He was a massive wrestling draw, but he cannot operate in today's world, right? For better or for worse. You know, I say for worse, right? Like, I think that Kevin Nash should be more famous than Logan Paul because he's more talented than Logan Paul. But he's not, motherfucks. He's not more famous. Hey, say it like it is, you know? Kevin Nash was like, oh, Logan Paul's fans are a bunch of idiots. So what? So are yours. You know? Like, he acts like, oh, Logan Paul and his YouTube thing, he acts like that's like something to be ashamed of, but that, you know, being like a wrestler in the 90s was like the same thing as being fucking Shakespeare. You know? It's the same shit. It's the same dipshits that used to be your fans are now his fans. You just didn't evolve with the times. And I get it. He's like almost 70. Of course, what is he gonna do? You know, be like hip, right? It's not gonna work as well. But this doesn't mean that someone that is being hip should be knocked down a peg. And quite frankly, he can't be knocked down a peg because there's no scenario in which Kevin Nash can have any impact on Logan Paul, right? It's just he can't. He's not big time enough yet, right? The best he can say is like, oh, you're not one of the boys. Well, if you look at the boys, and the boys are Xavier Woods, Miro, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso, then you're like, yeah, I know very well that I'm not Jey Uso or Sami Zayn. I know that I don't need this company, and they do. You know, without this company, Sami Zayn is working a regular job. So is Jey Uso. So is everyone that I just mentioned. Without the company, Logan Paul is still a millionaire, right? He's still successful. He's still popular. That's why they brought him in. It's not just him, right? Every rapper that shows up, Floyd Mayweather, right? People are like, oh, how did the boys take to Floyd Mayweather's presence? Who gives a shit? Floyd Mayweather would beat their ass, most of them. Obviously, he can't beat up like the Big Show, you know what I mean? But like, he can beat up Sami Zayn, you know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit? He's more famous, he's richer. He's there to help them, not the other way around. People will say that. They're like, oh, there's so much effort in, helping Logan Paul prepare for a match because he doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. There's also so much effort. Like John Morrison said that, and I love John Morrison. But the fact of the matter is, Logan Paul has made more money for WWE in this last year than John Morrison will make for wrestling in his entire career. Like that, those are the facts, right? Those are the realities. So you can say, oh, he doesn't know how to wrestle. You don't know how to draw. I'm saying you don't know how to make money, which is fundamentally what this is. It's not a real sport. And I think that's what it comes down to. A lot of people treat wrestling as a sport because they don't have the other abilities that are required to succeed in wrestling, right? Kevin Nash does. Kevin Nash is charismatic and is a good-looking guy, or was in his day. You know what I mean? He has a presence. He's got a lot of good qualities. But the problem is, like, despite all those good qualities, he never was the draw that Logan Paul is. These are just the facts, right? Like, he wasn't making $5 million when he was like 23 or whatever. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing that and wrestling 3 times a year. And I understand. That was his thing. His thing was like, oh, I don't really wrestle very well or very much, right? But I make a lot of money, right? And Logan Paul is doing that, but he's doing it more, with more money and wrestling less and wrestling better, right? So the green dragon, the green monster, the envy comes out of people. Just like it does whenever you like something. You ever noticed if you like something that's popular, people, like the hippies basically, which are now everybody, they come up, they're like, that's not good. This is good. So someone might come and say, you know what I like? I like that new Taylor Swift song. Right? And they're like, Taylor Swift? What? I don't like Taylor Swift. I only listen to the Ramones. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't even know what that is. You went out of your way. You heard someone that you admire say the Ramones are good, and you went to look at what the Ramones are, and then now you pretend you like them. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, just fucking be a human being. You know what I mean? And this is from your boy. I hate Taylor Swift. I hate that kind of music in general, right? But earlier today, I listened to that Megan Thee Stallion song. I don't really like her. The song is fire, though. The Mamushi. I like that song. That's a good song. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna pretend I don't like it just because it's not the cool thing to do. And that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people pretend that they don't like something because it's the cool thing to do. And there's no sphere where this happens more than wrestling. You dig?